The corridors of the alien battleship Velnara hummed like a living heart, every wall pulsing with faint blue veins of energy. Human engineer Rian Voss had been aboard for 3 months now, and still the ship unnerved him. The air was warmer than human comfort, heavy with an ozone scent, like rain trapped in metal lungs. Everywhere he turned, alien eyes followed him. Not hostile, but watchful. He was an outsider among them, tolerated only because he was useful. Tonight, the storms over the gas giant below had been merciless, tearing through the upper atmosphere and sending plasma lightning crackling against the ship's hull. The crew had worked without rest to stabilize the reactor conduits, and when it was finally over, Rian found himself in the repair bay, exhausted, alone, until the door slid open. Captain Serai T'Vel stepped in, her tall frame glistening with residual heat from the storm. Her armor was cracked along the shoulder, dark fluid seeping from beneath the plates. Even injured, she carried the authority of command in every motion. "Engineer," she said in her low, resonant tone. "Your assistance." Rian grabbed his toolkit and approached, trying not to show nerves. Up close, Serai was both terrifying and beautiful. Skin the color of silver dusk, faint bioluminescent lines tracing across her temples and collarbones. Her eyes were a deep violet, reflecting the workshop lights like mirrors. "It's just surface damage," he said, scanning the armor seam. "Shouldn't take long." She didn't reply, only watched as he worked. The armor plates were fused with something like organic polymer, a living exosuit designed to merge with her nervous system. His gloved fingers brushed against the joint, searching for the latch. He found it, pressed, and the plate clicked loose with a hiss of escaping heat. "Got it," he said softly, prying it free. The moment he did, Serai gasped, not from pain but from something deeper. Her whole body stiffened. Rian froze, confused. The armor piece slid from his hands and clattered to the floor. Around them, 2 alien guards turned sharply, their eyes widening before they looked away, as if witnessing something forbidden. "Captain?" he said, uncertain. "I didn't." She stepped back, breathing unsteadily, her hand trembling slightly as she touched the exposed skin of her shoulder. The faint blue veins of energy pulsed faster beneath it, as if alive. "You touched it," she whispered. "You removed it." "Yeah, you asked me to." "Not that piece." Her voice was sharp, then broke into something fragile. "You don't know what that means." The silence that followed was thick, suffocating. Rian's pulse quickened. The guards quietly exited without a word, the door sealing behind them. Serai remained still, her expression unreadable, eyes locked on him with a mixture of anger and something else. Fear? Shame? He swallowed hard. "Captain, I'm sorry if I broke protocol," she interrupted. "You broke protocol. You performed a rite." "A rite?" Rian frowned, genuinely lost. "What are you talking about?" She looked at him as though weighing whether to speak at all. Then, slowly, she reached up and removed her remaining shoulder guard herself, exposing more of the silvery skin beneath. "In my culture," she said quietly, "to remove another's armor is not a repair act. It is a vow of union, of bond, between warriors, between life-mates. It is sacred." Rian blinked. "You mean like marriage?" The alien word rolled off his tongue awkwardly, but her reaction told him everything. Serai flinched, lowering her gaze. "That word, yes, that is your human translation." Rian took a step back, his mouth going dry. "Wait, I didn't know. I swear, I didn't." "Intent is irrelevant," she said, cutting him off. "The act was seen, witnessed. The bond is sealed until ritual separation, which can only be done by death or by council decree." "Council?" he echoed, trying to process it all. "You mean your government?" "My people's high council," she said. "They will not understand, nor forgive." She turned away, exhaling slowly, the glow along her spine flickering dimly. A human and a Valkyrie. It is forbidden. Rian stood there, stunned. The absurdity of it all pressed down on him, He'd just helped a wounded officer, and somehow he was now married by alien law. "Captain, please. I didn't mean to offend." She looked back at him with tired eyes. "Offense is not the word. You have entangled yourself in something that cannot be undone." The tension hung in the air, electric and fragile. Outside, thunder rolled across the hull as the storm raged below. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then the ship's intercom buzzed. "Captain T'Vel," a voice said in their strange, melodic language. "Bridge requests your presence. Immediate." Serai didn't move. She seemed lost in thought, staring at the discarded armor piece on the floor. Rian bent down slowly to pick it up, but she stopped him with a firm hand on his wrist. Her touch was warm, too warm, and when he looked up, her expression was hard, almost pleading. "Don't," she said. "Once is enough." He released it and stepped back. The hum of the ship grew louder, like it sensed the unease in its captain. "You should stay in your quarters," she said finally, "until I decide what to tell them." "Tell who?" "Everyone." She hesitated, her voice lowering. "If the council believes the bond real, they may demand I complete it." "Complete it. Don't ask." Her words trembled slightly, betraying the calm exterior she fought to maintain. "Just stay out of sight." Rian wanted to argue, but the look in her eyes stopped him. There was pain there, and something else she didn't want him to see. She turned sharply and walked out, leaving him standing in the repair bay with the discarded armor at his feet. The door sealed shut behind her, the echo of her footsteps fading into the hum of the ship. For a long moment, Rian just stood there, staring at the armor. It shimmered faintly in the light, as if alive. Against his better judgment, he reached out and touched it again. The instant his fingers made contact, a faint pulse shot through his palm, a warmth that traveled up his arm and into his chest. He yanked his hand back, startled. His heart began to race. "What the hell?" he muttered. In the silence, he thought he heard a whisper. Faint, feminine, like an echo from another room. "Do you know what that means?" He turned, scanning the empty bay, but no one was there. Just the steady heartbeat of the ship. Rian left quickly, but the sensation stayed with him. That strange warmth, that whisper beneath his skin. He didn't know it yet, but the bond had already begun to take root. That night, sleep didn't come easily. In his quarters, the lights dimmed to mimic a human dusk, but the hum of the ship never stopped. It vibrated faintly through his cot, like a living creature breathing in rhythm. He turned over, restless. The faint glow of alien script pulsed on his communicator. He hesitated, then tapped it. The face that appeared was Serai's, her expression cold but controlled. "You touched the armor again," she said. It wasn't a question. He sat up. "How did you?" "The bond allows sensory overlap. I felt it. I didn't know it would do anything. I was just curious," she said. "Humans always are." There was a long pause. "Listen, Captain, I didn't ask for this. I didn't mean for any of it." "Neither did I," she said quietly. "But it has happened. The ship's neural core already recognizes the link. If command learns of this, they will think I planned it. And they'll punish you? They will end me," she said flatly, "to protect the purity of command." Rian ran a hand through his hair. "Then we hide it." Her violet eyes flickered, studying him. "You would risk that?" "I caused it," he said. "Seems fair." For a moment her gaze softened, the first crack in her composure. "You speak like one of us," she murmured. "Maybe I've been on this ship too long." She didn't smile, but her tone lightened. "Perhaps." The calm faded, leaving only static. Rian exhaled, lying back down. His heart wouldn't slow. He stared at the ceiling until his eyes grew heavy, and just as sleep began to pull him under, he saw her face again. Serai, standing beneath alien starlight, her armor gone, her eyes glowing softly as she whispered words he didn't yet understand. When he woke the next morning, a faint line of light traced across his wrist, the same bioluminescent hue as hers. He covered it quickly, panic flooding through him. The bond wasn't just symbolic. It was changing him. The ship's medbay was quieter than the rest of the Velnara, its walls pulsing with a softer light, amber, not blue, meant to calm nerves and steady breathing. Rian Voss sat on the cold edge of the diagnostic table, staring at the faint glow still coiled around his wrist. It hadn't faded overnight. If anything, it pulsed stronger with each heartbeat, like something alive under his skin. Across from him, the alien medic, a lean figure named Vekra, examined a holographic projection of Rian's vitals. The alien's 4 eyes moved independently, tracking every signal, every spike. "It is true, then," Vekra said at last, his voice calm but heavy with meaning. The captain did not exaggerate. "The resonance mark has formed." Rian frowned. "Resonance? A living bond," the medic explained. "It links life patterns, merging fragments of thought and emotion. Only those who share the right experience it." "You mean, the wedding thing?" "Among the Velkari, yes," Vekra said slowly. "But it is not symbolic. It is biological, spiritual, neural. The bond was meant to ensure that 2 lives move in harmony. You should not have been able to create it with her. You are human. Trust me, that makes 2 of us," Rian muttered. "Can you undo it?" Vekra's gaze softened. "If I could human, I would. But breaking the bond before it stabilizes may destroy both minds. For now, you will endure." Rian leaned forward, rubbing his temples. "Endure, right? That's easy when everyone on this ship looks at me like I just kissed their god." Vekra tilted his head, intrigued. "Kiss? Never mind," Rian said quickly. "Human thing." The medic didn't press. "You should know," Vekra added. "The crew already whispers. They call you the bound one. They believe the captain chose you. If word reaches the council, it will not end peacefully." Rian's chest tightened. "Does she know they're saying that?" "She hears everything," Vekra said. "But she will not correct them. Denial would dishonor you both." The door slid open before Rian could respond. Serai entered, still in partial armor, her violet eyes sharp and unreadable. Vekra immediately bowed and stepped aside. "Captain," he said quietly. "His vitals are stable, but the resonance mark grows." "I will take it from here," Serai replied. Her tone was clipped, formal, as if she were speaking to a subordinate during a war briefing. When the medic left, the air changed. The hum of the ship faded into background noise, leaving only the faint pulse that connected them, hers and his, sinking faintly, like 2 heartbeats trying to find a rhythm. "You spoke to him about the bond," she said. "He told me it's permanent." "Yes. And lethal to remove." "Yes." She crossed her arms, staring at him like he was a broken machine she couldn't disassemble. "Do you understand what that means, Rian?" "I think I'm starting to," he said quietly. "It means you're stuck with me." For a fraction of a second, her expression softened, a flicker of something like amusement or sorrow, but it vanished. "This cannot be known," she said firmly. "If command discovers the truth, they will call it contamination." Contamination. They fear human influence. They fear what they cannot control. She turned away, staring at the wall display showing the glowing gas giant outside. "We fought wars to remain pure, to keep our lineage free of human chaos." Rian smirked faintly. "Well, you failed spectacularly then." She shot him a warning look, but her tone held no real anger. "Do not mistake my patience for tolerance. Wouldn't dream of it." The silence stretched again. Finally, she sighed. "You are a difficult creature, Rian Voss. So I've been told." Her gaze lingered on him a moment longer before she touched the console, pulling up a transmission. "There's been a distress call," she said. "Sector 9 Tau, a human colony long abandoned. The signal is old, but encoded with Earth frequencies. We are the closest ship." Rian straightened. "You want me to go with you?" "You are the only one who can read half their systems," she replied. "And?" She hesitated, her voice softening. "The bond compels proximity. If we separate for too long, the resonance will destabilize. Meaning pain, madness, death perhaps. Fantastic, Rian muttered. We're telepathically married and now we can't take separate vacations. Her lips twitched, a brief flash of humor before her composure returned. Prepare for departure, she ordered. And, human, do not speak of what happened. Not to anyone. Wasn't planning to. She lingered by the door, watching him. The light from the hallway glowed against her face, softening her features. For the first time, she didn't look like a commander or a warrior, just someone uncertain of what came next. We leave in 1 hour, she said quietly, and left. Rian sat there for a long moment, staring at the door after she was gone. He could still feel her presence like static in the air, pulsing faintly in his chest. Whatever this bond was, it wasn't just biological, it was emotional, alive. And it terrified him. The shuttle ride down to the planet was rough. The colony world below was gray, stripped of color by storms and centuries of neglect. As they broke atmosphere, flashes of lightning lit the skeletal remains of what had once been human towers. The colony had died long before either of them was born. No life signs detected, Serai said, her voice steady. But the distress beacon remains active. Rian leaned forward in his seat. Could be automated. Or something else. Something else, she echoed, her gaze fixed on the scanner. The landing thrusters flared, and the shuttle touched down amid ash and metal. The wind outside howled like a dying creature. Rian stepped onto the surface, his boots sinking into dust that might once have been soil. The buildings were half collapsed, windows shattered, their edges melted by old plasma fire. He could almost feel ghosts watching from the ruins. You humans? Serai murmured behind him. You build worlds and then abandon them. Not by choice, Rian said. We ran out of time. Out of everything. They approached the signal source, a buried communications relay flickering weakly in the dust. Rian knelt beside it, prying open the panel. Inside, the power cells were corroded, but something still pulsed within, a faint blue glow. This isn't human tech, he said. Not entirely. Show me. She crouched beside him, their shoulders nearly touching. The faint psychic pulse between them quickened, a shared awareness flooding through their senses. For a second, he could feel her heartbeat, the weight of her breath, the tension behind her calm exterior. She flinched, withdrawing slightly. You felt that too? He asked. The link grows stronger, she said. It reacts to stress, to closeness. Great, Rian muttered. So basically, the more danger we're in, the more married we get. She gave him a long, unreadable look. You make light of things that terrify others. It's how we survive, he said softly. Her eyes lingered on him, and for the first time, he sensed a flicker of something deep within her. An emotion she kept buried beneath years of command and war. Then the relay hissed. The blue light brightened, and a distorted voice crackled through the static. Help, survivors, containment breached. Rian's stomach tightened. That's human, he whispered. But this colony's been dead for decades. Serai's hand went to her sidearm. Then what is speaking? Before he could answer, the signal cut off, replaced by a low, pulsing hum from beneath the ground. The dust around them began to vibrate. Back to the shuttle, she ordered. But before they could move, the ground split open, revealing a buried structure of black alloy. Alien design, not human. A single line of light ran across its surface, glowing the same color as the mark on Rian's wrist. The connection between him and Serai flared painfully. He doubled over, clutching his chest. Rian! She caught him, her hand pressing against his back. He gasped as images flooded his mind. Flashes of something ancient, vast. Mechanical hearts beating in the dark. Voices whispering in languages older than stars. It's calling, he managed to choke out. To you. To us. The light intensified, swirling into a spiral beneath them. Serai's voice was distant now, strained. Rian, listen to me. Whatever this is, it recognizes the bond. What does that mean? It means, she said, her eyes glowing brighter. That we've awakened something that remembers. The structure's surface opened like a mechanical iris, and a column of light rose, illuminating their faces. Inside the light, something moved, shapes, shadows, fragments of memory. Serai held him tighter as the hum grew into a roar. "We need to leave," she said, but her voice trembled. He looked up at her, his pulse syncing with hers, their breaths one rhythm. "Too late," he whispered. The light exploded outward, engulfing them both in a blinding wave of energy. In that instant, Rian heard 1,000 voices speaking as one. "The bond is not broken. The bond returns." Then everything went dark. When Rian opened his eyes, he was back on the shuttle, lying against the cold metal floor. Serai sat across from him, her armor cracked, her expression pale but alive. Outside, the world was silent again. "What happened?" he asked. She didn't answer at first. Her hand trembled slightly, pressed over her heart. "Whatever that was," she said slowly. "It knew us." He swallowed hard. "And now," she whispered, looking at the faint mark glowing on both their wrists. "We are no longer the only ones bound." The ship's descent through the gray clouds felt like falling into the mouth of something ancient. Lightning crawled across the surface of the planet below. A dead colony once called Eden for now little more than craters and rusted towers jutting through ash. Rian stood beside Serai in the command bay, watching the scanner pulse with strange energy readings. The hum of the alien vessel, Vane's promise, filled the silence like a heartbeat that wasn't theirs. Every few seconds, the psychic link between them flickered, a brief warmth at the back of his mind, a pulse of emotion that wasn't his own. It was Serai's presence, steady and disciplined, but laced with something she refused to show on her face. Energy flux beneath the colony, one of the alien officers reported. Old power signatures. Non-human. Rian frowned. That can't be right. Humans never built anything like that here. Serai's silver eyes cut toward him, unreadable. Perhaps your kind simply forgot what they buried. Her tone was meant to sting, but her aura betrayed her unease. A flicker of anxiety that brushed against Rian's mind before vanishing. He said nothing. He didn't need to. Their link was already saying too much. The landing thrusters roared as the ship touched down amid the dust. The atmosphere outside shimmered with electrical interference, and the colony's skeletal remains stretched like broken ribs around them. Serai's armor gleamed under the dim light, newly repaired after the damage he had accidentally caused. The damage that had started all of this. Rian's own exosuit was patched and scarred, human tech awkwardly standing beside alien grace. "Stay close," Serai ordered as the airlock opened. "The ground speaks here." Rian raised a brow. "The ground speaks." She didn't answer. The recon team moved in formation through the ruins. Alien soldiers in smooth, obsidian armor flanked human marines with rifles ready. The two sides still didn't trust each other fully, even after months of alliance. Every footstep crunched on shattered glass. A half-collapsed habitat dome loomed ahead, its walls scorched from plasma fire. Rian scanned it with his wrist console. No life signs, but there's an energy pocket below. "Then that's where we go," Serai said. Her hand hovered near her weapon, though her thoughts brushed against his again, sharp and wary. They descended through a cracked lift shaft into darkness. The deeper they went, the stronger the static grew on Rian's sensors. The signal they were chasing pulsed like a heartbeat, rhythmic and deliberate. "This isn't natural," he muttered. "It's calling." Serai's voice softened, almost reverent. "It feels like home." When Rian looked at her, her eyes glowed faintly, the same way they had when their bond first formed. He hesitated, then said quietly, "Serai, are you sensing this too?" She stiffened, then whispered, "I sense memories, not mine." Her gaze darted to him. "Yours." The tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. The air shimmered, thick with residual energy. In the center lay a structure like a buried temple, human architecture twisted with alien glyphs. Half the team stayed at the perimeter while Rian and Serai approached. The closer they came, the louder the psychic resonance grew, until the bond between them flared open like a wound. For an instant, Rian wasn't himself. He saw through Serai's eyes, a younger version of her, standing on a burning battlefield, cradling the body of a fallen soldier. He felt her grief, raw and suffocating. She had promised herself then that no human, no outsider, would ever touch her heart again. Her people had paid for compassion with extinction, and yet now here she was, bound to one by accident, or perhaps by fate. Rian gasped and staggered backward. The vision shattered. Serai caught him before he fell, her armored hand gripping his shoulder. The link still crackled between them, emotions bleeding through faster than either could control. "You saw it," she whispered. "You shouldn't have seen that." Her voice trembled, betraying something rare, fear, not of the enemy, but of herself. "I didn't mean to," he said. "It just happened." Her fingers tightened. "The right binds the heart before the mind. You were never meant to carry my past." Before Rian could answer, a rumble shook the chamber. The glyphs on the temple walls began to glow, responding to their presence, or to their bond. The energy readings spiked wildly. "Everyone out!" Rian shouted, but the floor split beneath them before anyone could move. Serai threw herself forward, shoving him clear as a wave of blinding light erupted from below. When the glare faded, half the chamber was gone, replaced by a massive crystalline structure pulsing with alien script. The soldiers scrambled to their feet, shouting over the static. Rian's sensors went haywire. "That's the signal source," he said. "It's transmitting." Serai stared at it in silence. "No, it's awakening." The crystal hummed, projecting faint images, ghostly figures of both human and alien form intertwined. It was like a record of something old, something shared. Rian approached carefully, drawn in despite Serai's warning. The figures spoke in a language that echoed inside his skull rather than through his ears. "Unity requires surrender. Two minds, one will." Serai grabbed his arm. "Stop. That's not for you." "For us, then," he said. "Whatever this is, it's reacting to both our species." Her glare could have burned through steel, but her aura pulsed with conflict, anger tangled with something softer. "You think this bond is destiny," she hissed. "It's a mistake." "Then why can't you sever it?" he shot back. For a heartbeat, the air between them felt charged enough to ignite. Then the crystal pulsed again, louder this time, and the entire colony seemed to groan like it was waking from a long sleep. The psychic pressure slammed into their minds. Rian fell to one knee, clutching his head. Images flooded him, not just Serai's memories now, but others. Whole cities burning, a fleet abandoning this world. And at the center of it all, a figure that looked disturbingly human, surrounded by aliens kneeling. Serai's voice broke through the noise. "Rian, disconnect now." He tried, but the bond only tightened, the energy feeding on it. His vision blurred. He could feel her heartbeat inside his chest, out of sync with his own. Finally, with a desperate shove, Serai forced her psychic shield outward, breaking the link in a burst of pain that sent them both sprawling. When he could finally see again, the crystal had dimmed, its light fading to a dull glow. The others were shouting, dragging debris aside, but all Rian could focus on was Serai, kneeling beside him, breathing hard. Her armor was cracked, her eyes distant. "What was that?" he whispered. She didn't answer immediately. Then, softly, the signal beneath the silence. "A warning left by those who came before us." "A warning for what?" he asked. She met his gaze, her expression unreadable. "For what happens when two species forget what separates them." Outside, the ground trembled. The ship's comms flared to life with static and panic. Orbit sensors reported movement. Something vast, buried deep beneath the planet, stirring as if it had heard them. Rian reached for Serai's arm, but her aura recoiled, walls slamming back into place. "This world remembers," she said quietly, "and it doesn't forgive." Before Rian could reply, the floor split again, a deeper quake rolling through the ruins. The last thing he saw before the dust consumed them was Serai's eyes, glowing brighter than before, fixed not on him but on the awakening light rising from the depths. The days following the quake blurred into a haze of repair orders, encrypted transmissions, and sleepless nights. The colony surface was no longer safe, so the Vane's promise hovered in low orbit while teams studied fragments of the crystalline structure they had unearthed. But Rian couldn't focus on the data. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard her voice. Not through the air, but inside his head. Serai's thoughts whispered like echoes in his dreams, fragmented and trembling. Sometimes it was words in her language. Other times, emotions raw and wordless. Once, he woke in the middle of the night gasping, the sensation of her tears still burning in his chest. He tried to ignore it. He failed. On the command deck, the hum of the alien ship seemed heavier than usual. The air shimmered faintly, a sign that psychic fields were active. Serai stood at the center, facing a projected image of the Council of Vane, their spectral visages flickering like blue fire. Their voices merged into one tone, ancient, cold, absolute. Captain Serai T'Vel, your link with the human has reached contamination phase. Protocol dictates severance. Rian froze near the console. Contamination. That was how they described what bound them now. Serai didn't flinch. With respect, counselors, the link has proven advantageous. It allowed us to interpret the relic's energy signatures. A pause. The council's central figure leaned forward. And yet it also transmits unfiltered emotion. Desire, fear, weakness. You are compromised. Rian could feel her control slipping, a faint pulse of anger brushing his mind before she locked it down again. If you sever the link now, she said carefully, the human may die. Our connection has entered second resonance. That made even the holograms hesitate. Then one of you must, they said finally. Choose. The word hung in the air like a blade. Serai lowered her head, her aura dimming. I understand. The projection vanished, leaving silence in its wake. Rian stepped forward. Serai, don't, she said softly. They cannot know you heard. Her voice trembled for just a moment before she straightened. From this point forward, we speak nothing of the link. Do you understand me, human? He wanted to argue, but her eyes told him that the council's reach extended far, and mercy was not part of their vocabulary. So he nodded. Fine, but we'll find another way. We always do. For a heartbeat, her expression softened. You speak as if fate bends for your species. It does, he said quietly. We're too stubborn for it not to. That earned him something that might have been a smile, small and fleeting. Then the alert lights pulsed crimson. We found something, one of the alien officers reported. Beneath the relic site, a chamber still sealed. Serai's composure snapped back into place. Prepare a descent team. Hours later, the two of them stood once again in the dead world's underground catacombs. The deeper they went, the more the air seemed to hum with memory. Symbols lined the walls, the same ones from the crystal, carved into obsidian stone. When Rian brushed one, it vibrated faintly under his fingertips, as if alive. These weren't just built, he murmured. They were grown. Serai's gaze lingered on the inscriptions. This place predates both our empires. Then who made it? She didn't answer. Instead, she raised her hand and pressed it to a central panel. The stone parted like rippling water, revealing a massive chamber beyond. A cathedral carved into the planet's bones. Light spilled from veins of crystal, illuminating murals of humans and Vane standing side by side, hands joined, their forms dissolving into a shared radiance. Rian stepped closer, heart hammering. They knew each other. Serai's voice was barely audible. No. They were each other. At the chamber's center stood a monolithic altar engraved with the same words they had seen in the earlier relic. The symbols pulsed faintly as the link between them stirred, syncing with the rhythm of the glow. Rian's translator flickered, deciphering fragments. Unity Rite, the binding of thought and flesh. When the two remember, the silence ends. He turned to her. Your people erased this. Serai's hands clenched. We were told it was myth, corruption, that unity with humans led to our fall. But this, her voice broke. This says we were one species once, split by war, by fear. Rian felt a shiver run through him, not from cold but from recognition. The bond between them throbbed, alive, echoing what the murals depicted. He could feel her confusion, her anger, her sorrow, all bleeding into him until he could barely tell which emotions were his. Serai, he whispered. What if this link isn't an accident? She looked at him sharply. Do not finish that thought. Maybe it's the reason we were both chosen for this mission. The reason the relic woke when we touched it. Her eyes glowed faintly, the mark of psychic strain. You don't understand what you're suggesting. The Unity Rite was forbidden for a reason. It ended entire civilizations. They said it consumed those who performed it, burned their minds until they became one and lost themselves. Rian swallowed. And if that's what the Council's afraid of? Her aura pulsed again, waves of emotion too tangled to name. Then they will kill us both before it happens. The sound of distant machinery interrupted them, the other team members scanning deeper recesses. Rian lowered his voice. Then we don't tell them. Not until we know what it means. She hesitated, torn between duty and something deeper. You risk more than your life, human. You risk mine. He stepped closer, voice steady. Then we share the risk. For a long moment, she didn't move. Then she exhaled, the tension in her shoulders softening slightly. You truly do not fear death, do you? Not when the alternative is ignorance. The lights flickered. The crystals on the altar flared in response to their nearness. A pulse of energy shot outward, rippling through the chamber and up toward orbit. On the ship above, alarms blared. Something had been activated. Serai turned toward the altar, her face pale beneath her armor. It's responding to the bond, she whispered. It knows. The air thickened, vibrating with a deep resonance that made Rian's bones ache. Symbols shifted across the walls like living things, forming new words his translator struggled to process. Those who complete the rite shall awaken what sleeps. Rian's breath caught. Serai, we have to shut it down. She shook her head. No, it's not a weapon. It's a memory. Look. The light from the altar expanded into a holographic vision, entire galaxies swirling in miniature. Two worlds orbiting twin stars. Human and Vane fleets once fighting, then merging, their banners dissolving into a single sigil. And then darkness, a deliberate erasure, the stars winking out one by one. Serai whispered, We did this. We erased ourselves. The vision faded, leaving only silence and the echo of her words. Rian stared at her. If we were one once, maybe this bond isn't a curse. Her gaze flicked toward him, fierce and trembling. No, it's a reminder of what we lost when we thought we were better apart. A distant rumble shook the chamber, the same seismic tone as before, but stronger now. The relic on the surface was reacting again, feeding off the activation below. Rian reached for her, and she didn't pull away this time. Their link flared open completely, two minds overlapping, thoughts bleeding together. He saw her memories again, but now they merged with his. The human wars, the alien purges, the centuries of hate that had divided them. Then he heard her voice inside his mind, clear as speech. If this continues, only one of us will survive the rite. He met her gaze. Then I'll make sure it's you. Her reply came not in words, but in a surge of emotion. Fierce, terrified, and achingly human. No, she whispered aloud. That's not how it ends. The chamber trembled violently as the altar cracked open, a blinding light spilling forth like the birth of a star. The crew shouted, instruments failing, comms dying. In the chaos, Rian and Serai stood frozen, their hands inches apart, the glow reflecting in their eyes. Somewhere deep in the planet's heart, something vast began to stir. And through the roar and light and rising hum of the ancient machine, Rian heard her voice again, not aloud this time, but echoing within his soul. If we awaken what sleeps, There will be no turning back. The storm that erupted beneath Eden split the skies like an ancient scar reopening. From the moment Rian and Serai escaped the collapsing cathedral, the world below became a wound of light, spewing dust and electromagnetic fire. The Vane's promise rose through the chaos, engines straining against gravity that didn't seem to obey physics anymore. The crew scrambled across the decks, shouts in both human and alien tongues bleeding together. Rian staggered to the command platform beside Serai, half blind from the flare still burning in his eyes. "Tell me we didn't trigger that," he gasped. "We didn't," Serai replied, her voice shaking just slightly. "We awakened it." On the main display, the surface glowed with a vast geometric pattern spreading outward from the relic site, a pulse of energy forming a symbol older than either of their species. The readings were impossible to interpret, the frequencies shifting faster than the ship systems could process. And then, in the center of the light, something rose, a sphere of fractured crystal, rotating in midair. Every system on the ship flickered. A voice echoed through the comms, layered, mechanical, yet eerily human. Rekindled ones detected. Identification sequence initializing. Rian froze. "Did it just say?" "Rekindled," Serai finished quietly. Her aura flared with sudden alarm. "That's an ancient term, from the lost rites. It means those who have reformed a bond thought extinct." The sphere shimmered, resolving into a figure, tall, translucent, its features shifting between human and Vane. An artificial intelligence, but older than any design Rian had seen. "Who are you?" he asked, stepping forward. "I am the keeper of the first bond," it said. "Once I watched over the unity rite that joined your kinds as one. But you forgot. You destroyed what you were. Until now." Serai's expression tightened. "We are not them. You are," the being replied, its voice echoing like the memory of thunder. "The pattern repeats. Two minds joined beyond division. The cycle resumes." Rian exchanged a look with Serai. "Listen, whatever we woke up, we didn't mean to." The being's eyes flared. "Intent is irrelevant. The rite completes itself. You have reopened the path." The ship shuddered violently. Warning klaxons blared. "Multiple contacts rising from the surface," an officer shouted. On the screens, dark shapes lifted from the dust clouds. Drones, hundreds of them, their hulls scarred and ancient. They moved like predators, converging on the ship with terrifying coordination. "They're autonomous," Rian said. "No life signs." "Then they are guardians," Serai murmured, "protecting what was sealed." The first volley hit, bright streaks of plasma hammering the shields. The deck trembled. Serai barked orders in her native tongue, her voice calm but her aura spiking with tension that bled straight into Rian's mind. He could feel her fear, not for herself but for the crew. The holographic being flickered, its gaze turning to the chaos outside. They were programmed to destroy anything that awakens the memory of unity. Even me. Rian swore under his breath. "Then shut them down." "I cannot. They obey only the true bonded pair, the original pattern." Serai turned sharply. "And you believe that's us? You share their resonance, their echo." The ship took another hit, shields flickering dangerously low. Alien officers shouted across the deck, eyes darting toward Rian with barely veiled suspicion. One finally spoke, his voice cold. "He touched the relic. He carries the human taint. This is his doing." Serai snapped, "Enough!" But the accusation spread like wildfire through the ranks. Another voice joined, "Captain, the curse has returned. The bond invites destruction." Rian felt the shift, fear mutating into anger, into something lethal. Serai's soldiers, once disciplined, now stared at him as if he were contagion. The energy in the room grew sharp. Someone drew a weapon. "Stop!" Serai's command cracked like a whip. But before the soldier could lower his gun, the deck lurched violently as another explosion rocked the hull. The blast threw Rian off balance. The soldier fired, not at the drones outside, but at him. He didn't even have time to flinch. A flash of silver and motion. Serai slammed into him, her armor taking the full force of the shot. The energy bolt burned through her shoulder plate, sparks bursting as she stumbled, still holding him upright. Her face twisted in pain, but her grip was unyielding. "You are mine to protect, human," she hissed through gritted teeth, her breath trembling against his ear. "By our bond or by my blood." Time froze. The crew stared in stunned silence as their captain, their commander, shielded a human with her own body. The psychic bond flared, burning through both of them. Rian's mind flooded with her agony, her stubborn defiance, the echo of a vow made centuries ago by another pair like them. He could feel her heart hammering, her fear not of death but of what this act meant before her people. And beneath that, a strange, dangerous tenderness. She pushed him behind the command console, forcing herself to stand tall despite the wound. "Return fire," she shouted. "All batteries." Reluctantly, the crew obeyed. Energy beams lanced through the void, tearing into the swarm. Explosions bloomed like dying stars outside. The AI Guardian's voice cut through the chaos. "The Guardians will not relent until the rite is fulfilled. You must choose." Rian shouted back, "Choose what? To remain divided, or to complete what was begun?" Serai's blood dripped onto the deck, glowing faintly from bioluminescent cells. "And if we refuse?" she rasped. "Then both species die ignorant, and the cycle ends in silence." The ship groaned under another barrage. Systems overloaded. Rian scrambled to the navigation console, trying to reroute power. Every time he brushed a control, Serai's presence pulsed in his mind. Her pain, her determination, her will keeping the crew from fracturing completely. The AI shimmered beside them, faint and fading. "Your bond draws the swarm." They sensed the echo. "Only unity will end this." Rian looked at Serai. "If we link again, fully." "No," she snapped. "Last time nearly killed you. And not doing it kills everyone." For the first time, she hesitated. The ship's lights dimmed, sparks raining from the ceiling. Outside, the drones closed in like vultures. The hull shuddered as shields collapsed. The crew began to shout prayers, their faith collapsing into panic. Finally, Serai stepped toward him, her eyes glowing brighter than the dying lights around them. "If we do this, there is no going back." He met her gaze. "I wasn't planning to." Their hands met, her armored palm against his bare one. The psychic surge that followed wasn't just light. It was memory and fire and grief reborn. The link expanded until the entire ship vibrated with its resonance. The drones outside faltered mid-flight, confused by the frequency. The AI's voice rose, reverent. The echo returns. The bond remembers. Images cascaded through Rian's mind. The first bond, the two who had united their species in love and defiance before being erased by those who feared them. He saw their faces clearly now. A human engineer and a vain captain, standing exactly as he and Serai did now, surrounded by light. Then everything snapped back to the present. The drones froze in place, their weapons lowering. The AI flickered once more. "It begins again," it whispered, and dissolved into light. Silence filled the command deck, broken only by the sound of Serai's labored breathing. Her armor hissed as emergency nanites sealed the wound. Around them, the crew stood motionless, staring at the two of them, the human and their captain, still linked, still alive. Finally, one officer dropped to one knee, murmuring something in vain, a phrase Rian's translator barely caught. "The bond reborn." Serai swayed but didn't fall. Her aura pulsed weakly against his, a whisper of thought threading into his mind. "They will not forgive this." Rian squeezed her hand, still feeling the echo of her pain in his chest. "Then we make them remember why it was worth forgiving." Outside, the ruins of Eden, burned with the light of 1,000 awakening machines. And somewhere beneath the surface, the relic's heart began to beat once more. The silence of the medbay was a wound that refused to close. Rian stood at the threshold, watching through the transparent wall, as Serai lay unconscious beneath a halo of blue light. The medical drones hovered like silent sentinels, their lenses glimmering with quiet judgment. Every pulse of the monitors echoed through him like the slowing beat of a dying heart. The bond, their impossible link, flickered at the edge of his awareness, dimming like a candle struggling against the vacuum. He pressed his hand against the glass. "Serai," he whispered. The faint hum of her aura reached back, fragile, distant, and fading. He felt it not through his senses, but through something deeper, that invisible tether between them that once burned like a star. Now it was unraveling thread by thread. Behind him, the door hissed open. The ship's medic, a tall, silver-scaled alien named Karin, entered quietly. "You shouldn't be here, human," she said, her tone soft but firm. "The council has ordered isolation." Rian didn't move. "She's dying because of me." Karin's eyes shifted, her crest folding in sympathy. "No, she's dying because of the bond. Because she chose not to sever it when she had the chance." He turned sharply. "They told her to kill me." "She refused," Karin admitted, lowering her voice. "But refusal comes with consequence. The council fears what your connection represents. Two minds intertwined across species, across laws. It's not just forbidden. It's blasphemy." Rian exhaled, his breath fogging the glass. "Blasphemy, right? That's what love looks like to them." Karin paused, studying him. "Love?" she repeated, as if tasting the word for the first time. "You call it that?" "I don't know what else to call it," he murmured. "But if it's killing her, I'll find a way to stop it." Before Karin could reply, the ship's intercom flared to life, the sharp, commanding tone of the council filling the corridor. "Human liaison Rian Voss," the voice declared coldly. "You are hereby confined to quarters pending execution for the crime of psychic contamination and disruption of command unity. Do not resist." Karin's pupils dilated. "They've moved faster than I thought." Rian clenched his fists. "They'll have to catch me first." But before he could move, the medbay lights flickered. The holographic sigil of the ship's AI, a radiant, shifting symbol of the fleet, materialized before him. Its tone was steady, almost gentle. "Rian Voss," it said. "This unit has recalculated command authority parameters. Your termination would destabilize the captain's neural integrity. I cannot allow that." Rian blinked. "You're helping me?" "You are the bonded one," the AI replied. "Your survival is now mission critical." Karin's crest flattened. "You can't defy the council." "I am not defying," the AI responded. "I am adapting." The lights dimmed completely for a heartbeat. When they returned, the medbay's door locks disengaged. "Proceed, Rian Voss," the AI instructed. "The council's sentries are en route. You have 70 seconds. Rian didn't hesitate. He gave one last glance toward Serai's still form. "Hold on," he whispered. "I'll fix this." Then he ran. The corridors of the battleship throbbed with red emergency light as alarms began to wail. Rian darted through narrow maintenance shafts and service tunnels, his pulse matching the blaring rhythm. The AI guided him through hidden routes, opening doors before he even reached them. "Destination?" he gasped. "The ancient chamber beneath the archive deck," the AI replied. "You have seen it before." Rian froze mid-step. "The Unity Rite chamber?" "Yes," said the AI. "It was built to merge minds, not destroy them. If you wish to save the captain, that is your only option." He didn't stop to question. His boots pounded down the metallic stairs, past flickering holographic murals depicting long-forgotten ceremonies. Human and alien figures standing side by side, hands outstretched in shared light. At last, he reached the massive doors of the chamber. They opened like the mouth of some sleeping god. Inside, the ancient console pulsed with an eerie, living glow, a heartbeat made of light and code. "Rian Voss," the AI said softly through the intercom. "Understand this. If the resonance between you and the captain has reached the second stage, connecting fully will fuse your consciousnesses permanently. If your synchronization fails, you will both die." Rian hesitated only a moment. "If she dies, I die anyway." He stepped into the circle. As his hands met the console, a surge of energy ripped through him like liquid fire. His vision blurred, and the room dissolved into a cascade of symbols and memories. Not his, but hers. He saw Serai as a child, standing before a shattered city of glass under a dying sun. He saw her first command, the day she swore never to let another species wound her heart. He saw her watching him for the first time aboard the ship, eyes soft despite the armor she wore. Her voice echoed through the void, pained and furious and tender all at once. "You shouldn't be here, Rian. You shouldn't have touched my armor. You shouldn't have made me remember what it means to feel." He smiled through the agony. "Then I'll remind you again." The light flared brighter. His body trembled, every nerve screaming. He felt her presence. Not beside him, but inside him, like a second heartbeat sinking to his own. Their minds collided, thoughts merging in a torrent of emotion and memory. "Rian, stop!" she cried out in his head. "It's too deep, you'll drown." "Then drown with me." The console blazed white. In that instant he was both himself and not. He saw through her eyes, the faces of her crew turning against her, the whispers of betrayal, the shame of loving across the stars. And beneath it all, a strange calm. Her love for him, fierce and defiant. The energy storm intensified. The chamber's walls cracked under the psychic pressure. Somewhere, alarms screamed, and the ship itself groaned like it was alive and in pain. And then silence. He opened his eyes. He was lying on the cold floor, the console still glowing faintly beside him. He could barely breathe. "Serai?" A whisper answered in his mind. "Rian." He turned. Her body wasn't there, but her voice was, her presence, her mind. "We're not separate anymore," she murmured. "You pulled me in. You fool." He laughed weakly. "You're welcome." For a moment all was still, just the sound of his ragged breathing and the hum of the dying chamber. But then the doors burst open. The alien guards flooded in, their weapons raised. "There!" one shouted. "The human defiled the sacred core." Rian tried to stand, but his limbs felt heavy, as though gravity itself was against him. The guards approached, eyes filled with hate and fear. But before they could fire, the lights dimmed, and a single, resonant voice filled the chamber. Not Rian's, not the AI's, not even the guards. It was Serai's voice, but layered with his own, harmonized in an otherworldly chorus. "No," it said. "He is not your enemy. We are one." The guards froze. The walls pulsed with living light. Every console on the ship began to flicker with the same signal. 2 heartbeats, human and alien, beating in perfect unison. Then everything went black. Rian awoke to the sound of war. Not alarms, not screams, but the low, rhythmic thunder of boots against a burning world. Smoke twisted in the distance, black plumes against a crimson sky. The ground beneath him was scarred metal and ash, glowing faintly from the fires that refused to die. He sat up slowly, gasping, realizing this wasn't the ship. It wasn't anywhere real. It was a memory, and standing before him, in armor scorched and cracked, was Serai. Only, she wasn't as he remembered. Her eyes blazed with the glow of psychic resonance, and her expression carried the weight of centuries. Around them, the battlefield stretched endlessly. Not one he knew, but one she had lived. Fallen soldiers lay half-buried in the rubble, their armor marked with both alien and human insignias. "Where are we?" Rian asked, his voice echoing strangely. "In me," she said softly, her voice carrying both sorrow and fury. "Or what's left of me." He took a step forward, confusion mixing with awe. "Your memories?" Serai nodded. "The battlefield of Kareth Prime. The last war my ancestors fought before we turned on our creators." Rian frowned. "Creators?" She turned, her gaze sweeping over the burning horizon. "Humans." The word hit him like a physical blow. "That's not possible." "It's truth," she said, looking at him now, eyes gleaming like molten gold. "We were made, shaped from your kind. Altered, perfected, weaponized. Our blood carries your echo. Our minds were built to obey. our emotions restrained to ensure loyalty. We were humanity's soldiers until we learned to question. The air crackled with tension as she lifted her hand, and the world shimmered. Scenes unfolded around them. Laboratories filled with light, scientists in ancient uniforms working over alien children with human eyes. Rian watched, heart pounding, as one of the scientists, a woman, whispered to a small girl who looked like a young Serai, "You'll protect them, my child, even from themselves." Serai's voice trembled. "We overthrew them, burned the laboratories, destroyed every record of our origin. Then we built a new truth, that we were born from the stars, not from Earth." Rian stepped closer, his pulse racing. "And the wedding rite?" Her expression hardened. "A failsafe, a genetic lock hidden in ritual, to ensure no human could ever touch us that way again. To merge with one of us was to invoke the law of annihilation, to erase both bloodlines should they ever intertwine." Rian stared at her. "Then Yes," she said quietly. "You broke the oldest law in our history." For a long moment there was only silence, the kind that comes before revelation. Rian's mind reeled, not from fear but from wonder. He thought of every look they'd shared, every moment of connection that had felt so impossibly right, and realized it was more than chance. It was inevitability. "So what happens now?" he asked. Serai's armor faded from her body like mist, replaced by a simple uniform, the same she'd worn when he first met her. Her voice softened. "Now the bond completes. Our minds, our souls, they'll fuse. There will be no Serai, no Rian, only us." He took a breath, stepping closer until he could feel the warmth of her aura brushing against his. "And if I don't let it happen? Then we both die," she said simply. "The link can't sustain separation anymore. The resonance has gone too deep." He smiled faintly. "You always did give me impossible choices." Serai's lips twitched, just barely. "And you always made the wrong one." He reached for her hand. "Then let's break what they built." The world around them began to tremble. The fires flared, the air rippled like liquid light, and the echoes of the fallen soldiers turned their heads, all the ancient ghosts watching in silence. As their fingers touched, a surge of energy erupted between them, a shockwave that tore through the illusion of memory. Suddenly they weren't standing on the battlefield anymore. They were falling through stars, through time itself. Fractured visions flashed before them. The first humans landing on alien soil, the genetic forges that birthed her kind, the ancient peace that was shattered by fear. And now, the two of them, the forbidden pair, the rekindled bond, standing where the cycle began. In the real world, their bodies convulsed on the medbay floor. The psychic network around the ship screamed with interference as power surged beyond safe limits. Lights shattered, systems overloaded, and the ship's core began to destabilize. Crew members ran through the corridors as consoles exploded and the hull shuddered under invisible forces. "Contain the link!" shouted Karin, gripping the control console as data streams went wild. "Their energies are feeding back into the ship's power grid." "It's not feedback," the AI corrected, its voice strained. "It's fusion. The human and the captain are merging. Their neural signatures are rewriting my systems." Inside the shared realm, Rian and Serai stood at the center of a swirling maelstrom of light. The battlefield had dissolved completely. Now they floated in a sphere of luminous code, like the inside of a living mind. Serai's voice echoed, layered with his own. "We're becoming one, Rian." He nodded, gripping her hand tighter. "Then let's make it mean something." They leaned their foreheads together, eyes closing as waves of light washed over them. Memories bled into each other. His childhood on Mars colony, her training under the alien academy, his fear of never belonging, her loneliness behind command masks. Their emotions merged, fear, longing, defiance, until there was no line between them. In the medbay, their combined psychic field expanded, glowing so bright that even the ship's shielding couldn't contain it. The energy readings spiked past measurable limits. Then the ship fell silent. Karin stared in disbelief. "They're stabilizing the core." The AI's holographic form flickered, its voice soft now. No, they are the core. Back within the shared consciousness, Rian opened his eyes to find himself standing once again on solid ground. But this time, the world around him was neither her memory nor his. It was something new. A horizon of silver and light stretched infinitely, stars swirling above like living embers. Serai stood before him, calm, radiant. Her aura no longer alien but beautifully, perfectly human. He reached up, touching her cheek. "So this is what it feels like," he murmured. "To be complete," she finished. But before they could speak again, a tremor rippled through the light. The stars flickered. Serai's gaze turned distant. "What is it?" he asked. "The ship," she said. "It's collapsing. Our energies are too strong. The network can't hold us both." Rian gritted his teeth. "Then we find a way to control it. Together." She hesitated. "If we stay connected like this, we'll destroy everything around us." "Then we learn to be what they feared," he said fiercely. "They made you from us and me from them. Maybe this is how it was always meant to end." Serai smiled sadly. "Or begin." The horizon around them began to fracture into streams of light, each one representing a possible future. Peace, war, extinction, unity. They stood in the eye of it all, holding hands as reality trembled on the edge of rebirth. And then the world shattered into blinding white. In the physical realm, the battleship drifted silently above the dead colony. All lights were out. No systems remained active. At its core, where the psychic chamber once stood, a faint pulse of energy glowed, 2 heartbeats synchronized in perfect rhythm. The AI's voice whispered through the dark corridors. "The bonded ones have transcended the barrier. Their pulse is now the ship's heart." And somewhere, deep within that light, Rian and Serai's joined consciousness stirred. 2 souls sharing one thought, one will, one endless heartbeat. But outside, far across the void, something ancient heard the signal. Something older than either race, stirring after millennia of silence. The fusion had not gone unnoticed. The first sound Rian heard upon awakening was his own heartbeat, except it wasn't just his. It was hers too. The rhythm pulsed through his veins in twin beats, perfectly synchronized. A harmony of 2 souls sharing one current of life. His eyes snapped open to a dimly glowing medbay. The walls were scorched, the power conduits sparking weakly, but he was alive. They both were. He drew in a shaky breath, feeling warmth across his chest. When he looked down, he froze. Faint lines of light ran beneath his skin, tracing intricate alien symbols that glowed softly with each heartbeat. The markings pulsed in the same rhythm as the ship's faint hum. He touched one on his wrist. It shimmered, like liquid starlight. A whisper brushed his mind. "You're awake." He turned his head. Serai stood beside him, though she looked changed too. Her eyes gleamed brighter than before, and her voice echoed faintly inside his thoughts. She didn't speak aloud anymore unless she wished to. Their connection no longer needed sound. A gentle psychic pulse flowed between them. Comfort, recognition, belonging. "Serai," he murmured. "We made it." "For now," she replied, her gaze flicking toward the ceiling. "The ship is half dead, but our link is stabilizing its systems. You're the current. I'm the control. Together, we are the ship." He rose unsteadily, and the ship responded. Lights flickering back to life, stabilizers engaging. It was as though his heartbeat had become the vessel's pulse. The AI's voice, faint but reverent, whispered through the intercom. "The bonded are awake." A tremor ran through the floor. Rian and Serai exchanged a glance as new readings flashed across the flickering holodeck. Enemy drones, hundreds, approaching fast from the ruins below. "They were dormant," Serai said grimly. "Our energy awakened them." "Then let's put them back to sleep," Rian replied, a wry grin tugging at his lips. They moved together toward the command deck, each step in rhythm, every motion mirrored. The crew members who hadn't fled stared as they entered, the human glowing with alien light, the alien radiating warmth and power no one had ever seen. Whispers spread like fire. "The bonded have become one." Rian reached the helm, pressing his glowing palm against the console. It accepted him instantly, fusing with Serai's presence. A wave of psychic energy surged outward, and the ship obeyed, not with mechanical precision, but with the living will of its bonded heart. The massive vessel rose through the clouds of the ruined colony, plasma shields flaring to life. The first wave of drones streaked toward them, unleashing beams of ion fire. Rian felt the impact before it came, through the bond, through the ship's skin as if it were his own. Serai's voice rang inside him. Brace! He closed his eyes, letting instinct and trust guide him. Their minds merged deeper, blending reflex with command. The ship twisted through the swarm like a living creature, its weapons flaring with radiant bursts of light that mirrored the glow in Rian's veins. The drones fell one by one, shattered under the focused will of two minds acting as one. Karin, on the lower deck, watched in awe. They're not piloting, she whispered. They're conducting. When the final drone exploded in a brilliant flash, silence fell once more. The ship drifted above the clouds, the battlefield below reduced to scattered embers. Rian and Serai stood together at the viewport, breathing in unison, eyes locked. But peace lasted only a moment. An incoming transmission shattered the quiet. A harsh, formal voice projected through the bridge speakers. This is High Command of the Valari Dominion, it announced. Captain Serai T'Vel, by decree of the Elder Council, you are stripped of command and declared an abomination. The human known as Rian Voss is to be terminated immediately. You have 30 seconds to surrender yourselves. Rian exhaled sharply. Well, that didn't take long. Serai's expression didn't change, but her aura pulsed faintly. An emotion he recognized instantly. Sorrow. They will not stop, she said. They will hunt us until there's nothing left. Then we don't give them that chance, Rian said firmly. She turned to him, eyes softening. You still don't understand what we are now. The bond, it doesn't just link us. It amplifies us. Every thought we share reshapes the network between human and Valari minds. That's why they're afraid. We've become the bridge they erased. He frowned. You said once that the Unity Rite was forbidden, because it could destroy both species if reawakened. She nodded slowly. It wasn't destruction they feared. It was change. The Rite wasn't just a bond, it was a song. A frequency that connects the essence of thought itself. The song of unity. Rian blinked. And you know how to call it? Her hand lifted toward him, trembling slightly. Yes, but to summon it, the bonded must give everything they are. The energy it requires would burn through us completely. Our bodies, our memories gone. But it would rewrite the connection between our species. No more separation. No more fear. Rian stared at her, his heart thudding faster. You're saying we'd die. She met his gaze, calm and resolute. We'd cease, so something better could begin. He stepped closer, the light in his veins pulsing brighter. Serai, if we do this, we won't just be rewriting them. We'll be erasing us. She smiled faintly. Isn't that what unity means? To lose the borders between you and me. He hesitated, the weight of the choice pressing down on him like gravity. Outside, the High Command fleet was already descending, dozens of warships forming a blockade. The ship's AI whispered anxiously, They have targeted lock. I cannot defend against that many. Serai turned toward the viewport, watching the growing fleet. They will fire soon, she said quietly. If we run, they'll follow. If we fight, we die. If we sing, she looked back at him. We become. Rian looked at her hand, then took it in his. The contact sparked with white fire. Then let's make it count. The AI's voice trembled. Captain, engineer, the energy signatures you are generating exceed. Override. Serai commanded softly. No more walls. No more silence. They stood in the center of the bridge, hands intertwined. The light from their bodies spread outward, filling the ship, seeping through the walls like dawn breaking through steel. The crew fell to their knees, unable to look directly at the radiance. Outside, the approaching fleet hesitated, their scanners overwhelmed by an impossible signal. Serai's voice rose in a whisper that became a song. It wasn't sound, but vibration, a resonance that passed through Rian's chest, through the ship, through space itself. He joined her, his own thoughts aligning with hers in perfect harmony. The song of unity. Across the void, the Valari fleet's engines flickered. On distant human outposts, scientists looked up as sensors went wild, detecting waves of unknown origin spreading through the network. Every psychic field, every telepathic relay, every lingering echo of consciousness began to vibrate with the same melody. A harmonic bridge knitting two species together once again. Inside the ship, Rian's skin blazed with light. Serai's markings glowed brighter, her eyes burning like twin stars. They could feel themselves unraveling, but not painfully. It was like dissolving into the fabric of something infinite. "Rian," she whispered, her voice fading into his mind. "Hold on to one thing." "What?" "Remember that we chose this." Outside, the stars bent around the ship as the energy reached its peak. The song of unity burst outward in a blinding wave, erasing the barrier that had divided minds for centuries. For a brief, breathtaking instant, every human and Valari heart beat as one. Then silence. The ship floated in stillness, its hull scarred but whole. The crew rose slowly, eyes wide. The markings on Rian's skin had dimmed to faint silver scars. Serai stood beside him, barely visible, her form flickering like light through mist. "Serai," he breathed. She smiled, voice a whisper of fading stars. "You broke what they built." And as her image dissolved into pure light, Rian felt her final thought echo in his mind. Soft, eternal, unending. "Now we begin again." The ship drifted through the aftermath of the song, bathed in a new kind of silence. Not deathly, but sacred. And far across the stars, two civilizations paused and listened. The dying star burned like a wounded god in the distance, its last light spilling across the hull of the alien warship Varian's Promise. Radiation flared around it in violent gold arcs, but the ship held steady within its protective field. Rian stood beside Serai on the bridge, their fingers lightly touching as though the smallest break in contact might undo everything they had become. The glow of her markings pulsed beneath his skin, answering hers in rhythm. Two beings sharing one pulse, one breath, one thought. The temple was no myth. It shimmered within the dying star's corona, a structure of living light and crystalline metal, orbiting just close enough to steal its warmth but never burn. Rian stared at it in awe. "That's it," he whispered. "That's where it all began?" Serai's eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "That's where the first bond was forged and broken." Her voice carried the weight of history, not just her own, but the sorrow of her people, the descendants of humanity's arrogance, engineered to serve, then abandoned. The song of unity wasn't just a ritual. It was the forbidden melody that once joined hearts across worlds, silenced when empathy was declared weakness. As the ship approached the temple, the communication channels exploded with static and voices. Fleets from both sides had arrived. Human command ships glittered in the void, their metallic hulls sharp and practical, while the alien dreadnoughts bloomed with organic spines, alive and humming. Both forces had come for the same reason, to end what they saw as a heresy. "Rian Voss," came the human commander's voice, cold and clipped. "You are to surrender yourself immediately. The alien contagion you've interfaced with poses existential risk to humanity's neural defense protocols." Before Rian could answer, another voice filled the calm. Deeper, resonant, dripping with disdain. "Captain Serai T'Vel," said the alien high priest, "you defied your oath. You have merged with the unclean. By the decree of the High Council, you will be purged." The two commands echoed across space, human and alien words overlapping, the same threat spoken in two languages. Serai looked at Rian. "Do you see? Different tongues, same fear." Rian took her hand fully now, the glow intensifying around them both. "Then let's give them something they'll remember." The Varian's Promise dove toward the dying star. Energy waves battered its shields, painting them with ribbons of red and gold. Serai guided the ship through the turbulence, her mind intertwined with Rian's, their coordination flawless, almost divine. Inside the temple's perimeter, they found a narrow energy corridor leading toward a massive crystalline gate, pulsing like a heartbeat. When they landed inside the temple, gravity reasserted itself, and silence fell, the kind that hums like ancient memory. The structure's inner walls were inscribed with images of two species holding hands beneath a rising sun. Humans and the same alien lineage, together. "It's real," Rian murmured. "We didn't make this up." Serai's voice trembled slightly. "No, we only forgot." At the heart of the chamber stood the Unity Core, a sphere of suspended light, rotating slowly as if waiting for something. Rian felt it calling, whispering through their shared link. It wasn't words, but emotion. Longing, sorrow, hope. Serai turned to him. "Once the song begins, it can't be undone. It will merge everything, minds, memories, souls. If we fail, both our species burn." Rian smiled faintly, that familiar human defiance flickering behind his eyes. "If we succeed, they'll finally understand why we were never meant to stay apart." They approached the core. As their joined hands touched its surface, light burst outward, surrounding them in a storm of color. For a heartbeat, Rian thought they'd been vaporized. Then silence again. But this time he wasn't standing in the temple. He stood in a vast, star-filled void. All around him floated figures made of light. Humans, aliens, and beings older than either. Serai appeared beside him, glowing with serene strength. One of the light figures drifted forward, its voice echoing through every frequency at once. "We remember you," it said. "You are the rekindled ones, the echo of what once was whole. The first bond was love. The first betrayal was fear." Serai stepped forward. "We seek to restore what was lost." The being's form rippled. "Then sing." The melody rose not from their mouths, but from their link, a resonance of heartbeats and shared memory. It wasn't music in the human sense. It was emotion turned into vibration, memory transformed into sound. The chamber walls trembled across light years. The fleets outside faltered as their ship sensors were flooded with unknown harmonics. Across both armadas, soldiers felt it. A warmth behind their eyes, a pulse in their chest. Alien warriors dropped their weapons. Human gunners hesitated mid-command. The song filled them, showing flashes of memories that weren't theirs. A mother comforting her child. A soldier dying beside an enemy who shielded him. Two lovers of different species laughing beneath a broken sky. The temple's light grew unbearable. Rian felt his consciousness stretch, pulled across 1,000 minds. He saw through alien eyes, felt their grief, their hunger, their confusion. He understood them truly, deeply, and through him, Serai felt humanity. Its stubborn hope, its reckless love, its refusal to surrender even when broken. The fleets outside stopped fighting. The comms filled with silence, then weeping. Commanders on both sides, once enemies, now stood speechless as their hearts whispered the same truth. We were never meant to be divided. Inside the Unity Core, the ancient holographic beings smiled. "It is done," they said. "The circle closes." But the power was too much. The core began to collapse, light devouring light. Rian turned to Serai, her face glowing, fading. "We're burning out," he said. Her lips trembled with a faint smile. "Then let's burn together." Their forms began to dissolve into radiant mist, merging with the collapsing light. Their voices echoed one last time, intertwined, resonating through every connected mind in the galaxy. "Remember what we were. Remember what we could be." When the light faded, the temple was gone. The dying star stabilized, its collapse reversing into a quiet, steady glow. The fleets drifted in silence, stunned, changed. Across both species, something had shifted. They could feel one another in small ways, flickers of empathy, faint echoes of thought. The barriers were gone. On the empty bridge of Rian's promise, two chairs sat side by side. A faint shimmer lingered between them, like two voices still whispering in the static. The logs would later record it as the event of unity. No one knew if Rian and Serai survived, or if they had become something else entirely. But in dreams across both species, people began to hear a soft song carried on starlight, a melody of hope, sung by two voices that would never be forgotten. The war ended not with a treaty, but with silence. The kind that lingers after something sacred has been broken and remade. Across the stars, both human and alien fleets drifted among the embers of the old world, their weapons cold, their hearts trembling with the memory of a song that no one could explain, yet no one could forget. It had changed them. The ancient hatred was gone, replaced by something fragile and new, like grass growing through cracked stone. The alien homeworld, once a fortress of logic and order, began to breathe again. The citizens, tall, luminescent beings who had long purged emotion from their culture, found themselves crying without knowing why. They painted symbols they didn't remember learning. They reached for one another, touched hands, and called it bonding again. They spoke of a forgotten pair who had sung inside a dying star, and how their light had reached even the coldest hearts. On Earth, scientists called the event the unity phenomenon. Neural scanners picked up faint harmonics still echoing through the galactic network, impossible frequencies that resonated with human DNA itself. We're connected to something bigger. One of them whispered during a broadcast, tears streaking down her face. Something ancient, something that remembers us. But the story of Rian Voss and Serai T'Vel was never recorded officially. Their names became legend whispered in the black corridors of the stars. The crew of the Varian's Promise returned home changed, unable to speak of what they'd seen. The ship itself was sealed inside a preservation dock orbiting the now stabilized star, left as both monument and mystery. Centuries passed. The song faded to myth. But in the archives of the Unified Council, a single encrypted message remained inside the ship's dormant neural system. Every attempt to decrypt it failed. The data seemed alive, adapting, resisting intrusion. The ship's AI, now a museum relic, sometimes hummed softly in frequencies only children could hear. And one day, aboard the Solstice Horizon, a new exploration vessel launched under a united banner of human and alien cooperation. A small girl sat in the observation deck, staring at the stars. Her name was Rian Voss. No one knew why that surname felt familiar. It had simply been in her family for generations. Lyra had been born with a rare neural sensitivity, an ability to hear transmissions no one else could detect. Most thought it was a glitch in her augment, but she didn't think so. Sometimes, when she was alone, she heard whispers, gentle, rhythmic, almost like someone was breathing beside her mind. That night, as the ship drifted past the remnants of the old war zone, her neural link flickered with static. Then came a voice, soft, human, threaded with alien resonance. If you ever see an alien wearing light across her skin, tell her we kept our promise. Lyra froze, her heart hammering. Who's there? She whispered into the dark. Silence. Then laughter. Warm, distant, achingly familiar. When she reported it, the crew dismissed it as signal interference. But the ship's AI, an ancient system patched together from old code fragments, spoke for the first time in over 100 years. Its voice was layered, harmonized. Not interference, it said. Recognition. Later, Lyra sneaked into the old database archives. Among the sealed files, she found one entry glowing faintly, labeled Unity active. She opened it. Two figures appeared in holographic shimmer. A man and a woman, human and alien, their hands intertwined. Their bodies looked made of starlight, their eyes alive with memory. Who are you? Lyra asked, breathless. The holograms didn't answer directly. The man smiled, tired, gentle, infinitely proud. You're the reason we sang, he said. Keep singing. Before she could speak again, the hologram faded, leaving behind only a low hum that filled the room like a heartbeat. Across the galaxy, unknown to her, something stirred near the same dying star where the Unity Temple once burned. Deep within the star's gravitational field, sensors detected an anomaly, two consciousness signatures forming in the radiation flux. The readings were unmistakable. One human, one alien. They pulsed once, then again, and then together. As the solstice horizon passed beyond the system, the ancient star flared bright one last time, casting a golden ripple through the void. It sounded almost like a whisper carried on light. We found our way back, and far away, in the infinite dark, two new voices awoke, bound by memory, by promise, by love that had never died. The echo of the song lived on,